Hey, what is up, you guys? It's Silver Fang, and today I'm back with another video. So today I'm going to be discussing the Diarmuid versus Chulainn, or the Lancer from Fate Zero versus the Lancer from Fate Stay Night. And this was a suggestion that I got in one of the comments. I think it was under my Achilles versus Emiya video. And it's the fight is pretty interesting because it's really close, but it's also really straightforward. And so today we're going to be discussing how will the fight play out. I'm going to go over both their stats, both their skills, and in the final part of the video, I'm going to tell you how I think the fight will actually go. So before we get started, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. I'm trying to get to 700 subs. So please hit the subscribe button, activate the notification bell, and without further ado, let's just go. So first of all, we're going to be comparing their stats, and they're actually pretty close. Like they almost have the same stats. Literally, like strength B, endurance C, with only like two differences. So Diarmuid's agility is A plus, and Chulainn's agility is A. Mana for Chulainn is C, and mana for Diarmuid is D. They both have E luck, and Noble Phantasm is also a B. So off the bat, like pretty close stats, pretty close. So basically, just by going on stats alone without looking at any of the skills first, we can kind of tell that the Diarmuid kind of has an advantage on close quarters combat because his agility is higher. A plus in short bursts, that means he's double the agility of Chulainn. So just keep that in mind. Next, so let's start with the Chulainn skills first. Chulainn skills, they're pretty interesting. So, and he has like a couple of skills that counter each other. So first skill, class skill, obviously magic resistance and divinity B. That's all class skills. Now the interesting part comes in his personal skills. So first he has battle continuation, A, which pretty much allows him to fight until he's like 100% dead. He's capable of going all out until he's like dead. Like you need to like stab him through the head or something. Like if he's like stumbling, like he's still alive, he's still able to go all out. So this is the first interesting skill, which is called Disengage, which is pretty much that he's able to retreat from the fight and remove all battle conditions from himself. Like if he has a curse or whatnot, he's able to remove it, but he has to leave. So he has to disengage and then come back. I'm not sure how long it takes, but I'm assuming it's just like he leaves until he's out of sight, then all his stats go back to normal, and then he's able to come back and finish the fight. Arrow protection is not really going to be all that important in this fight because Diarmuid doesn't really throw his weapons like that. We seen him kind of throw his spear, but Diarmuid also has Eye of the Manchu, and so it's probably he's not gonna make that move of throwing his spear. He just does it if he feels like he has to. But with Eye of the Manchu, it was giving him like heads up of what's going to happen. He probably won't be throwing his spears all that much in this fight. And then he has the other skill, which I'm not gonna try to. Actually, I'm gonna try. Ath and Galar. I don't know. I don't know if I definitely know that I didn't pronounce that right. So, but basically, what it does is, and it's crazy because it counters the disengage skill. So this skill is like Diarmuid can kind of, using rune magic, he can kind of create like this barrier where like he's not able to retreat and the other person can't retreat either. So it's like a fight to the death. But that kind of nullifies his disengage skill, because his disengage skill like Like he needs to retreat. He needs to be out of sight in order to get that done. Or he needs to stay out of combat for a little while, then come back. So if he does this, then he can use Disengage. Or maybe he can use Disengage and then do this. So yeah, but it does kind of counter each other. He also has Rune Magic, and very interesting because we didn't know what he exactly could do with his Rune Magic. Like we haven't seen, because as a Lancer he doesn't really use it. He kind of finds it as a nuisance, but he can still use it though if he chooses to. So basically, from the stuff we've seen with Rune Magic, so he can pretty much do a lot of the stuff that he's able to do as a caster, except for his Noble Phantasm. So basically, we've seen him throw fireballs, which Diarmuid will probably be able to cut through and deflect with his Red Spear. And something very interesting that we learned when he was in his Berserker form. So his Rune Magic actually has a passive healing skill. So he can heal his wounds automatically. So that's pretty interesting. We didn't know that before he was a Berserker. So basically, this and as a Berserker, he has Rune Magic, but it states that he can only use the passive skill, because in his Berserker he has Mad Enhancement, so he can't really think all that well. So he cannot use all his Rune Magic skills, but he can use the passive healing, because the passive healing is automatic. He doesn't have to think about it at all. It's automatic. So it makes sense that he would also have that skill as a Lancer, since it's automatic. So that's pretty interesting, because that combined with his battle continuation is kind of OP if you think about it. The problem is though that Diarmuid has his Yellow Spear, so those wounds can't be healed. So with that being said, let's jump at Diarmuid's skills and abilities. So as a class skill, he has Magic Resistance. As personal skills, he has Eye of the Mind True, which is the same skill that Emiya has, that he was able to keep up with Chulainn with. He has the Love Spot, which is not really going to be all that useful in this fight. And Night Strategy. This one is actually pretty interesting because he's able to analyze the flow of battle and kind of make his opponents make small mistakes that he can capitalize on. So that's pretty cool, and it's pretty interesting. So now that we've covered that, let's go into their Noble Phantasms. Obviously, you know, Diarmuid has his Gaybolt, his thrown version, and his thrusted version. When thrown, his always hits the heart, pierce it. Diarmuid, I don't think Emiya was kind of able to avoid it because he had Gaybolt. I mean, he had his Eye of the Mind True, and he also had Roll Eyes, which I'm assuming, the way that I rationalize that is that with Eye of the Mind True, he was able to analyze the Gaybolt, and he noticed that the best course of action was to block it. And then when the Gaybolt clashed with the Roll Eyes, it kind of lost some power, which is why Emiya was able to survive. Like, it lost some power while clashing with Roll Eyes. So that was pretty interesting. Now, Diarmuid doesn't have anything like Roll Eyes. So that being said, let's talk about how the fight would actually go. So basically, we're gonna go through all the stages of the fight. So they start normally with close combat, and in close combat, Diarmuid has a major advantage against Ku, because if you remember, and this is interesting because they both fought Saber. So Diarmuid was almost, I mean, he kind of like make Artoria look like a novice. That's how good this guy is. Like, he made Artoria, in close combat, he made Artoria look like a novice. It was crazy. Like, this dude is amazing at close combat. Now you can say, well, Ku also fought Artoria, and he did fairly well as well. And yes, but no, because when he fought Artoria, Artoria was under Shiro. Under Shiro, her agility is C. Under Kirutsugu, her agility was A, the same as Ku. And Diarmuid was pretty much making, like, he was destroying her throughout the whole close. Like, this dude was like making her do whatever he wanted her to do, making her make mistakes. Like, it was insane. And think about this for a second. Yes, his agility is their agility. Ku agility is A, and Diarmuid is A plus. So you think they're not that far behind, but they actually are, because the Diarmuid's A plus means that in short bursts he's double the agility of Chulainn, but he also has Eye of the Mind True. This is the same skill that while Emiya having C agility was able to keep up with Chulainn, who had an A agility. So 3 ranks right there. 3 ranks of difference in agility, and Emiya was still able to keep up just because of this skill. So imagine this. Diarmuid has double the speed and short burst of Chulainn, but he also has a head start. Because it's kind of like how Eye of the Mind kind of works. It's like kind of a Sharingan. Like you get like a little bit of a head start on stuff. Like, you're able to predict your opponent's move. You get like maybe a full second, maybe a fraction of a second head start in actual move. But that's pretty incredible because his speed is already higher. His speed is already higher than Ku. So in close combat, like, it's gonna be crazy. In close combat, like, Diarmuid has him outright. So now, how do the skills come into play in the Noble Phantasms? So Diarmuid's Eye of the Mind True and Night Strategy, it's gonna make him analyze and see that he can't allow Ku to use Gave Bow. And it's gonna be the same scenario where he fought Artoria, where it's like he's gonna cut Ku, and Ku is not gonna be able to use Gave Bow. That's what he's gonna try to do. His Eye of the Mind will tell him to do that, and his Night Strategy will allow him to do that. So it's like he's gonna make Ku make mistakes, and it's gonna allow, and his Eye of the Mind is gonna recommend him to stop him from using Gave Bow, because obviously Diarmuid is great at close combat, but he lacks firepower. So as we saw in Phase Zero, what he tries to do is to kind of incapacitate his opponents so they're not able to use or fight as well. Like, he aims for really specific spots, and this is how crazy, because his combat instincts are amazing. So he caught Artoria in her tendon right here, which didn't allow her to grip her sword. He could do the same thing to Chulainn. Remember, Chulainn and Artoria had the same agility, and he was able to do it to Artoria, and he should be able to do it to Chulainn. And also, you got to remember, Artoria is a lot calmer than Ku. Remember, Chulainn has this, like, in his lore, he has like this kind of rage thing where his hair gets spiky and he loses a little bit of sense. Artoria is a lot calmer than Ku. With Night Strategy, it shouldn't work as well on her as it would on Ku, because Ku is how should I put this? He's more susceptible to being like enraged. Like, he's more susceptible to losing his cool and to lose his calm and make mistakes. So it should be a lot easier for Diarmuid to freaking cut Ku in the same way that he did to Artoria. So now this is where the skills come into play. Um, the Armut, Chulainn, he has rune magic, and as I mentioned, the rune magic has a passive healing skill. So he should be able to heal those wounds, but the Armut's yellow spirits counter that. Any injury that is taken from that yellow spirit can't be healed. Now, saying that if Chulainn cannot use Gay Bulk, the Armut wins. Also, another thing you gotta consider, and this is where a lot of people, a lot of other people, when they analyze the fights, this is something like they don't think about. Obviously, so I already said that the Armut is a lot smarter, and this is why. So they both fought Artoria. In the fight with Artoria, only with a few clashes, the Armut was able to tell that Artoria was using a sword, and he was able to determine the length of the sword. While Chulainn didn't know what it was that she was using. He asked her, and then he determined it was a sword, but he couldn't tell how long it was. He couldn't tell anything about the sword. So right there, you can tell that the Armut's instinct in combat is a lot better than Ku's. Maybe not a lot better, but it's definitely better. You can maybe say that was his Eye of the Manchu working, or you could say he's just smarter. Either way, it's there. That's a fact. Another thing that you got to consider is that while Ku only has one spear, the Armut has two. So that means double the she should be able to have double the capabilities of attack in a fight. I'm telling you, this is something that most people don't think about. While Diarmuid has two spears, Ku only has one. So that's an advantage right there. So that being said, so if Chulainn cannot use Gay Bolt, Diarmuid wins, point blank. Now, this is where the skills come into play, and why I said in the beginning that the fight is actually pretty straightforward. Once Ku sees that he can't use Gay Bolt, he can actually use the skill Disengage, Retreat. The passive skill will activate, and his wounds will heal. Then he'll come back and use Gay Bolt. And if he uses Gay Bolt, Diarmuid has nothing to counter it. So this is how the fight will play out. They will start fighting. Ku will realize that he's in a disadvantage. Diarmuid would capitalize, making Ku make mistakes one after the other, and stop him from using Gay Bolt. Once Ku sees he's about to lose, he can use the skill Disengage to leave, heal his wounds, come back, and immediately use Gay Bolt. And once he uses Gay Bolt, Diarmuid has nothing to counter it. He has nothing to counter it. And when it comes to the rune magic, if Ku decides to throw like fireballs and whatnot, Diarmuid could just cut through them. If he uses to create the barrier of Galar, whatever that is, Diarmuid, if he wants to leave, he can just cut through that barrier and leave. So that's why the only thing that comes into play here about the rune magic is the passive healing, where Ku can disengage, heal his wounds, then come back and use Gay Bolt. So, long story short, Diarmuid can definitely like push Ku hard, and he can actually push Ku to the point where Ku has to use Disengage and leave, heal his wounds, and come back, and then use Gay Bolt. And if he uses Gay Bolt, then Diarmuid has nothing to defend it. Now, if Ku makes the mistake of using his Af and Gabla, forget about it. If he makes the mistake of using that skill then he's done. He's done. Because once he uses that skill, he cannot leave. And that is better for Diarmuid. Now, Diarmuid can maybe force him to use that skill as a mistake. So if he uses that skill, he's gonna lose. Because the fact that he cannot disengage favors Diarmuid. So overall, it's a pretty close fight. I think Ku would win 6 fights out of 10. It's that close. It's definitely is that close. If Ku makes the mistake of using his Av and whatever, if Ku makes the mistake of using that and he cannot disengage, then he's done. He's gonna lose. But if he doesn't use that, then he was able to disengage, come back. He's able to disengage, heal his wounds, and then come back. Now, also, it's not 100% that Diarmuid is gonna stop him from using Gay Bolt. That's why I gave Ku the fight, because it's not 100% that Diarmuid would be able to stop Ku from using Gay Bolt. But seeing the way he fought against Artoria, that seems like a fair assumption as to what he would do. So it's not 100% that he'll try that 100% of the time, but most of the times he probably is going to try that to stop Ku from using Gay Bolt. So 6 out of 10. I think it's pretty fair. I think it's pretty good. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Let me know if you agree with me or disagree. It was actually a pretty close fight. It was a pretty fun fight to think about. So please tell me in the comment below any other fights that you want me to do like this. If I find it pretty interesting, I'll probably do a video on it. So please let me know. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. We're almost at 700 subs, so please hit the subscribe button, notification bell. As I always say, have an awesome day. Catch you guys in the next one.